Everybody, welcome back to Wicked Good Sports. I'm Brad and joined by Jenny Lally, which means we're talking about Olympic soccer. And unfortunately, not happy times right now. Jenny, what happened?
Ooh, my biggest fear, honestly. We unfortunately lost in the semifinals to Canada. And not only did we lose, we also kind of lost in the worst way possible from a penalty kick that was given to the team. A very controversial penalty kick, I guess you could say. We'll go a little bit more in detail about it, but
What are
definitely
people
hurt.
saying online? What's the consensus?
At least from what I've seen, I think the general consensus is, yeah, that was the appropriate call. It was just extremely unlucky.
Sure.
Really, I think what it comes down to, and I'll say my initial reaction was the call was not the right call. I was very upset.
Yeah.
But thinking about it and reflecting on it and rewatching it, I mean, I think it was, the rule is, if you hit the player and not the ball, it's a fair penalty to call. And unfortunately, it was also in the penalty box, which resulted in the penalty kick. I think what was just unfortunate about the whole situation is that, Davidson was clearing the ball. She was taking her time, not realizing that Rose from the Canadian team was barreling down towards her. And I think, Rose put herself in a really good position to kind of really push herself in to Davidson and create that opportunity. I think what's a little bit frustrating is that, do I think that a scoring opportunity could have come out if Rose had won the ball in that scenario? Certainly not. It's so far to the right side of the goal, close to the end. There were plenty of other defenders coming behind as well. So it's definitely frustrating that they get a penalty kick from really a play that wasn't going to even result in probably even a cross towards the goalie.
For me, I'm not a soccer person. I think everyone knows that. My forte is football for this channel.
Yeah.
For me, it's the fact that it's a shot penalty, not a corner kick. I know it's the rule, it's
within the box. Yeah.
But to me, it's she wasn't shooting at the net and got fouled. To me, that would make sense. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, totally.
In basketball, they don't, unless you're out of fouls, it's the end of the game. And
sure.
But most of the time, at the beginning of the game, if you foul someone not in the act of shooting, it's not,
Yeah, totally.
To me, it should only be if someone is shooting, it is in control of the ball and is undoubtedly shooting the ball.
Yeah.
It should be a penalty. I think because she was not ever in control of the ball in this situation.
She just ran herself in.
Inserted herself into it. So, to me, it was surprising, that's a penalty on... I mean, hey, I don't know anything. I'm sure there's people who are more into soccer right now and be like, you don't fucking get it. This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Fucking American talking about.
Get out of here.
Game. But to me, that was the thing. It was oh, that sucks.
Yeah, but you have to realize, too, that oftentimes, the reason why that penalty, I think, is there is not necessarily only for the scenarios where, you're in the moment of trying to score a goal, but also, they're creating opportunities so close in the box to the net is also a really big thing. If you're just simply trying to cross it, that could maybe result in a goal and you get disrupted in the box. I think that, is a fair penalty to call. I just think in this scenario...
Less the act of shooting, more she wasn't
is
in
there an
control
opportunity?
At any
that
point
too.
in the
Sure.
play.
Yeah.
So for me to be now it's their possession.
And
in
a penalty
anything,
kick.
she inserted herself into, trying to get the ball away from someone with control. So I guess I'm more surprised that being in control of the ball doesn't give more I guess more focus on, it's in football, someone's running the ball and someone comes in and knocks it out. It's okay, this person had the ball and now it's on the ground.
And now doesn't, yeah.
Yeah, to me, it felt like she was in control. So, to me, as someone who doesn't know about soccer...
You're probably this is some
this doesn't make any
shit.
sense. This other girl didn't touch the ball. I don't think she even touched the ball when getting fouled. So it's like
she might have, but if she did touch the ball, it was just pushing it out of bounds essentially.
Right.
Like I don't even know if she was even going for the ball or if she was just trying to push herself in to create this opportunity. Yeah. Knowing that it was in the box, Davidson was taking her time trying to clear it, but I think Davidson was like not expecting anybody to come. I mean, I don't know if like the goalie or other members on the U.S. team was like giving her a heads up for her to be aware, but I don't even know if they had, if she was like in the motion of kicking it out and she just came out of nowhere. I mean, Rose is incredibly fast. We saw it throughout the game, like tracking the ball down. And so she was there like in a split second. Like, yeah, I think it's a little frustrating, which is why like I think it's, as the rules stand right now, it technically was a foul, but it's incredibly frustrating and also very unlucky. And maybe there's an opportunity to like reconsider the harshness of going directly into penalty kicks or going to a penalty kick, especially in a game like this where it was incredibly close. Yeah. We hadn't scored. They hadn't scored. This was in the second half. And
this was the only goal.
Like, especially in the Olympics, I mean, like I said, you know, if you're going to lose, this is like possibly the worst way to lose. And I also think too, you know, the U.S., you know, no surprise, I've had quite a rough Olympics, and we can talk a little bit about why I think that might be, that led us here. But, you know, in this game in particular, we had the possession of the ball most of the game. We also created far more opportunities, far more shots on the net than the Canadian team. And especially when this foul happened in particular, we were really starting to build a lot of momentum, and we were starting to look more like what we would expect the U.S. team to usually look, more in like a dominating role, you know, with Dunn, Megan Rapinoe kind of on the side there, creating a lot of crossing opportunities. And then for this to happen from like one, you know, opportunity created by the Canadian team just totally ruined our momentum. It also came towards the end of the game. But I mean, while I would think that the U.S. team definitely played a better game, at the end of the day, we didn't create any goals off of this.
Sure. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we have like 20 opportunities created and Canada just has one opportunity, but they actually score from it. Like, then they deserved to win, you know, like they were tactical and they made, you know, use of the opportunities they get, knowing that with the U.S. team, creating those opportunities can be quite challenging with how strong of a defensive team we have. So, I mean, it's not a new story with the U.S. Even before the Olympics, you know, in the friendlies and the cup, like actually scoring off of our opportunities has been like a huge talking point for this team, and actually scoring goals. So I think I think throughout the game we were more in control, we never really figured out how to create true scoring opportunities. And, you know, it came to bite us in the end. Had we made any of those goals leading up to that, this penalty kick wouldn't have been an issue.
Sure. I think that's fair. So, I guess, unless you have other stuff to say about the particular game, do you want to get into the bigger picture
debacles? For the team? Yeah. I will just say one more thing about that game in particular. Super upset about Nair getting hurt, our goalie.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, really unfortunate. She's had, obviously the previous game was incredible, saving a penalty kick. And then when we actually went to PKs after ties, saving 2 of them, which allowed us to move on to the semifinals. She unfortunately is out actually for the rest of the Olympics. She won't be playing in the bronze match. So French obviously came in.
She played well. I mean,
she played well.
Unlucky.
Super unfortunate.
She went the right way. She just didn't get quite there.
Yeah. French. Yeah.
That's what you said, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't sure if you were talking about Nair, but yeah, French on our penalty kick. Yeah.
She went the right way. Just like.
It was a great penalty kick by the Canadians. Like it was perfectly hit. The pace was obviously right, and I mean went in. So they did a good job. But you know, kudos to French. I can't imagine like the pressure she felt coming into a game first of all, after, you know, that reputation that Nair had from the previous game, and then having to deal with a penalty kick. Like that's honestly what I would think your worst nightmare as a goalie is.
Pretty much worst case scenario.
Yeah, and I don't obviously blame her at all. Like,
No,
penalty kicks for any goalie are just always challenging.
Crapshoot.
Yeah, I mean, really, a lot of the times it's like whether or not the kicker just messes up, and doesn't hit it on net or hits it right to the goalie. But obviously there's a ton of skill that comes to it from the goalie standpoint in terms of anticipating and making the right save too. But they're just so hard.
Right.
But anyway, so hopefully Nair, we see a full recovery from her, and just unfortunate she won't be able to see the rest of the Olympics through. But yeah, that's all I'll say for that game.
Congratulations,
Super sad.
Canada.
Yes.
Sweden, gonna be a tough match. Good luck. Yeah. So, and then America has Australia.
Yes, we'll play.
We'll actually get a winner this time.
And you know what sucks? We were literally talking about this before this game.
I know.
That, to me, the worst possible case scenario is that we lose to the Canadians, and then when we play Australia for realsies this time, not like the previous when we were in just Group G, trying to make it to the quarterfinals, when we were kind of like, we both want a tie, so we'll just like chill, not really play. It would suck though if that when we actually play them for real, they beat us, and it's like,
we don't get a medal.
Good Lord. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but we will be playing Australia for bronze on Thursday, 4 a.m. So
we'll cover that, of course.
Yes, of course. We'll see.
And we'll cover the final, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for me, I am certainly expect Sweden to win. They've been a dominating force. Like we talked about, I really wanted the U.S. versus Sweden final rematch, with the hopes of us kind of like turning things around and getting some redemption. But Sweden has just been consistently amazing. So I'm definitely rooting for Sweden. Like we talked about in the first, our first video of this series, is if U.S. can't win, I'm always rooting for Sweden because I find them just an incredible team and they've grown so far. So go Sweden.
So what do you think this, obviously not the outcome that the U.S. wants or expected playing at the very least in the gold medal game. First time coach in like this situation. We got some players who are potentially this is the end of the road for them. Kind of talk about the players first, and then we'll talk about the future and the coach and everything else.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, since just not even just this loss to Canada and not making through to the finals, but through the whole Olympics, we have not looked like the U.S. team that won the World Cup, and just in general, like what we expect to see the women's U.S. Team looking like, which is domination, in my opinion. And so a lot of people have been trying to understand, what happened. We looked slow, we looked out of sync, we never really had opportunities to kind of get any sort of chemistry across our players. Like, why did this happen to us? And one of the things that people have been talking about is, we do have when we're trying to decide on our roster for the Olympics, you kind of have to weigh, maybe some younger players who are really incredible and could bring a lot of like energy to the team, or versus more experienced players who've been playing for a really long time, or also have been to the Olympics multiple times and can deal with that pressure and pivot really quickly. Trying to decide between those two can be quite challenging. And obviously in our team in particular, we definitely favor, historically and even obviously for this Olympics, more veteran players. So, Carly Lloyd, Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, Becky Sauerbrunn, like these are all players who have been to the Olympics many times, have been on this team for a very long time. But, the challenge is like, how is it going too far trying to keep experience on the team when clearly they're not necessarily living up to how they used to play when they were younger? None of them really created those opportunities that we would typically see from them in previous years, despite the fact that, a lot of them talked about how the break from the pandemic really allowed them to kind of recover, work on their strength. They felt stronger than ever. But, the reality is seeing some of them on there, like, Megan Rapinoe, for example, just seemed slower. Her corner kicks were not up to snuff, like, in my opinion. Like, it just wasn't there. And so, obviously there's tremendous value in having experienced players really help coach other members of the team who haven't been to the Olympics or are newer to the team as a whole, like, go through the whole experience, but at what cost?
Sure.
And was it worth the cost? And, like, by no means are these players not skilled. They're obviously been on the team for a long time, won lots of awards. Like, they're incredible players, but maybe this was the time to start bringing up some new players from some fresher legs. There are a lot of people who were kind of potential players who could get on the roster who weren't chosen, and maybe they would have added a different level of energy that was clearly lacking from this team.
Sure. Yeah.
But also, you know, these players are getting older. Maybe this was, I don't know for sure, but maybe for some of them, this will be their last Olympics, and they've done so much for the U.S. team as a whole. You know, maybe we can just give them this one last Olympics to kind of close out their whole season. But I mean, I'm just saying this is what people have been saying. These are not necessarily my opinion. Like, Alex Morgan, for example, is continually crushing it in the National Women's League. Like, she's a top goal scorer. She definitely didn't really find opportunities during the Olympics here as much as we would have hoped, but I don't know if that's necessarily an indication that maybe she's like getting older and we need new. I mean, Alice Morgan's quite young still, but who knows? But
yeah, and what does it mean for the coach? I mean,
rough. I mean, he's coming in after they won the World Cup. This was a major opportunity to be the first team ever to then go on to win the Olympics. This was his first major tournament. A lot of people are questioning a lot of the decisions that he's made. I mean, we talked about it previously about some of the subs. I think one of the things that I've seen a lot of people talk about is, you know, every game was a new lineup. Every game we were rotating people. And we've talked a lot about how the depth of this team is incredible. Everyone on the bench, on the field, are people to, you know, fear when you see coming on and you have to defend against them. They're all incredible players. But maybe constantly changing up the lineup, changing up the dynamics, maybe that prevented the players' ability to create
like a chemistry
and build momentum with each other. You know, it was great to see Williams come in. She did incredible, obviously, for us to get to the semifinals, but she hadn't been playing as much. You know, Press also has been very good for us. You know, she's been playing more than Williams. Did that kind of make it challenging? Because in, you know, the Canada game, Williams didn't create a lot of opportunities. But maybe that's just like because of the lack of dynamic or, you know, hard to say. But I think that certainly would be frustrating as a player of like, am I going to start? Am I not? Just even from a mental standpoint of like, oh, I didn't start. Like, what did I do wrong? Or, you know, oh, I really want to play with this person because I feel like we do really great, but he's putting me with this other person. I think like relationships wise, I'm sure they're all really great friends, but chemistry was certainly lacking, and perhaps this was partly a reason why.
Very true. All right. Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, it's certainly disappointing. I think that, you know, the team and the coaching staff definitely need to kind of look back to figure out what went wrong. You know, where the subs, our lineup, maybe our team needs some fresh legs in there and start to kind of figure out how we can come back next time, swing in and hopefully win the next Olympics, continue to win our World Cups. But yeah, it was just not the U.S. team that I enjoy watching, and it was definitely heartbreaking to see that. I mean, watching Carly Lloyd after that game, just obviously incredibly upset. Sucked. Like, you wanted them to win, but they didn't make it happen. And, you know, at the end of the day, they're just going to have to deal with it and move on and continue to grow and get better. And I fully expect them to do that. So we shall see. And hopefully this time we won't let an Australia game like that ever happen again. I never want us to not dominate or even try to dominate, because that lack of momentum going into the next games could have been part of it as well. Like, we just weren't in the right mindset we needed to be, and it's unfortunate, but it's not over. It's not over. We still got a medal to be playing for, so
hopefully. All right, no social media for you.
No.
Plug. All right. You can follow me on Twitter at @theFakeBMar. That's BMARR. The channel is on Twitter at WickedGoodSport or at WG Everything. It's on Instagram, Wicked Good Everything, Twitch, twitch.tv/WickedGoodEverything, and on TikTok, search Wicked Good Everything. The main channel is Wicked Good Everything, obviously. That's a comedy channel that I did not upload to once last month. I have a board over there where I keep track, and so hopefully this month I'll do a little bit better. I've been too in the trenches with Wicked Good Sports. We uploaded 18 videos last month.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, obviously we have tons of stuff happening for sports here on this channel.
Yeah.
And we have our podcast channel, Better Radio. Follow us, subscribe, do everything you want to do. And we will see you in the next one.
Yeah, and if you're...
Thank you for your time.
Oh, of course. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I would love to hear your comments about kind of what went wrong, what do you think needs to be fixed, especially as we're going into this next game against Australia. I'm expecting us to win, but you never know if we can, mentally recover from that loss. But definitely add some comments. I'm curious what y'all think as well.
And no, weird, I hate the women's team for dealing stuff. We don't want those comments.
I want, legit,
Yeah. I'm always
thoughts
worried,
about the
it's
sport.
I'm going to do, the team loses and then get,
they kneel and they lost. It's,
yeah.
Not related at all to their skill or coaching decisions.
So. All right. We'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching.